Hello YouTube. This is what Jeff, aka MGTOW is for losers, posted. This is what he posted word for word in response to me posting a link to my last video before this one in the comment sections of one of his videos. And this is what I said, and I quote, right here. When did I mention contacting the police, Chris? When did I mention contacting the police, Chris Chan? You're projecting your own wasting time of valuable police resources because of your imaginary ex-girlfriend that seemingly wouldn't let you make love to her for 5-6 months. In parentheses, that's based on your fantasy dates. We have always stated we work hand in hand with the ADL, SPLC, etc. to compile enough evidence to prosecute you and your hate group. Also, was you blocking your imaginary girlfriend, you getting rid of Tyler Durden moment from Fight Club? Well, here's my response to that. First off, for the 8 millionth time, MGTOW isn't my quote-unquote hate group. If it's even a hate group to begin with. It's not even if it is a hate group to begin with, it's not even my hate group since I'm not personally a MGTOW. Just because I can understand where MGTOW men are coming from with their frustration, because I can understand their frustrations from being mistreated by women in the past, just because I can understand where they're coming from, doesn't automatically mean I am a MGTOW myself. I told you that 8 million times. Funny how quickly you forget. It's funny how quickly you forget I'm not even a MGTOW myself due to your horrible short-term memory. What are you, Ronald Reagan with Alzheimer's? Second of all, the ex-girlfriend I was referring to in my last video before this one is a different ex-girlfriend than the one you keep claiming is imaginary. I have more than one ex-girlfriend. I've actually dated about 17 or so different women in the past 20 years, but I've only had sex with 2 of them. I admit that I've only had sex with 2 of them so far. I've got to step up my game a bit. So the ex-girlfriend I was referring to in my last video before this one, and the ex-girlfriend you keep claiming is imaginary, are 2 different people. You tragic insemination accident. The ex-girlfriend I was referring to in my last video before this one is Samantha Munoz. And I dated Samantha Munoz for almost 5.5 years, from February 2014 to the end of July 2019. I know your best evidence to claim my most recent ex-girlfriend is imaginary. Your best evidence to claim my most recent ex-girlfriend is imaginary is you claiming that in the photo of me and her in my old profile avatar, you claim she and I look exactly the same, except I have a receding hairline and I'm slowly going bald, while she has more hair, and so my ex-girlfriend and I supposedly looking similar, according to you, automatically means I made her up and that she doesn't exist and that she's actually just me wearing a long wig and it's just my way of coping, according to you. Well, here, I'll show you a photo. I'm going to show you a photo on Facebook of the ex-girlfriend that you claim is imaginary. Right here. That's the ex-girlfriend that you claim is imaginary. That's Sarah Martin. And then after that, I'm going to show you a photo of Samantha Munoz, the other ex-girlfriend. Look, this is the ex-girlfriend. This is my ex-girlfriend that I dated from 2014 to 2019, right here. Even though I have Samantha Munoz blocked on my main Facebook account, I can still find her account on her blocked account. I can still find her blocked account on my backup Facebook account that I rarely ever use, and show you a photo of her right there. On my on the account that I rarely ever use, that's how I accessed it. That's a photo of her right here. Right here. Now here's a photo of me. Right here. That's a photo of me. And here's some more photos of me. Here's another photo of me. Does Samantha Does Samantha Munoz right here look like? Does Samantha look exactly like me too? Does Samantha right here? Does she look exactly like me too? But except with more hair? If you say yes, then you're even dumber than I previously thought, as if that were even possible. As for Samantha, she and I did make love, as in have sex, more times than I can keep count over a course of almost 5.5 years before I finally dumped her cheating ass at the end of July 2019. In fact, we had sex for the first time only 26 days in the dating, which is about 3.5 weeks in the dating. In fact, I don't mind mentioning this kind of personal information publicly, even though you'll probably make fun of me for it because you're a scumbag. You'll probably make fun of me for this because you're a scumbag. But I'm going to mention this publicly, which I don't mind mentioning. This is personal, but I've now got H1 herpes on my mouth and groin area. I've got that to prove that I had a lot of unprotected sex with Samantha Munoz. I know I caught herpes from Samantha because I've only had sex with 2 women in my life. And the only other woman I slept with before Samantha was a single mom in her mid-20s with a 1-year-old daughter, and she was no longer with the baby daddy, the father. The single mom that I slept with was tested and came back negative for diseases by Planned Parenthood. And since Samantha is the only other woman I've slept with, all evidence points to her giving me herpes. Herpes doesn't just appear out of thin air. The fact that I now have herpes on my mouth and groin area proves I've been laid before, and proves I'm not a phony. And that I'm not a virgin. It proves I'm not a virgin. Now, I admit that when I dated Samantha for almost 5.5 years and slept with her, 99% of the time when I slept with Samantha, I wasn't using protection. Now, I admit that I should have used better judgment, but I foolishly assumed I didn't need to use protection just because I had a vasectomy back in 2004 and don't have to worry about the possibility of an accidental unwanted pregnancy, kind of like you, Jeff. So since Samantha slept around with a lot of men behind my back, and possibly with women too, since she's bi, and since I had a lot of unprotected sex with her, I'm actually very lucky that the only thing I got from her was herpes, and I'm actually lucky I didn't get AIDS. To be honest, herpes isn't as big a deal as everyone makes it out to be. Herpes is not fun, but it's not deadly either, and herpes is nothing compared to AIDS. Statistically, 50% of the world has herpes and they don't even know it. You could have it yourself and not even know it. Now, luckily, I haven't experienced any episodes yet. I've had no outbreaks and no cold sores yet. I may have actually had this herpes since 2014, but didn't find out I have it until 2019. The only reason I even know I have it is from taking a blood test. Otherwise, I probably never would have known. Thanks to Samantha giving me herpes in my mouth and groin area, I haven't had very much luck in the dating department since I broke up with Samantha in 2019 after our nearly 5.5-year relationship. Most of my dating candidates since 2019 didn't last very long. In fact, the longest one was only 4 months, which was with the woman you claim is imaginary. Anytime I date a woman, I'm now required by law to tell her I have herpes before sleeping with her. Otherwise, if I sleep with a woman and the condom accidentally rips and she catches herpes from me and I didn't tell her, now that's a felony. So a lot of my previous dating candidates since 2019 who were possible future sexual partners, since it's been almost 2.5 years since I've had sex, almost 2.5 years since I've had sex. Now, I admit that I used poor judgment, and I told these women, these possible future sleeping partners, I told them about it too early into the relationship. And even though herpes isn't as big a deal as everyone makes it out to be and is nothing compared to AIDS, a lot of my previous possible future sexual partners that I told about it too early into the relationship, they weren't, I guess a lot of the possible future sexual partners that I told about it too early into the relationship weren't educated enough about herpes, and a lot of them got scared off, unfortunately, because they weren't educated enough about herpes. The point is, because this has put Samantha causing me to get herpes, she's put a big damper in my dating life, and it's really hard now. It's really difficult finding someone who's open-minded and is willing to look past me having herpes, and is willing to just stay with me despite me having herpes and have me just use a condom from now on. And the point is, the fact that I now have H1 herpes in my mouth and groin area is proof in and of itself that I'm not lying about having been laid before and that I'm not a virgin. Now, Samantha and I used to shower together at my apartment when she spent weekends at my apartment. And after I got out of the shower, when I shaved my facial hair after I got out of the shower, instead of her waiting until after I was done shaving, Samantha literally went to the bathroom and peed on the toilet right in front of me. As she did that, I noticed she doesn't wipe down there after peeing. And I know guys shake after they pee, but girls are supposed to wipe after they pee. And then after that, she had me eat her out down there for long periods of time. For long periods of time, she had me eat her out. She probably got yeast infection from not wiping after peeing. And then she had me eat her out down there for long periods of time just to pleasure her in order to get her in the mood for the real thing. Now, that's fucking disgusting now that I think about it. Also, when we used to shower together, she lives in a group home, and there are 15 different people in the group home total. So she and 14 other people are all sharing the same shower, and a lot of them didn't wear flip-flops in the shower, including her not wearing flip-flops in the shower. So I guess she got a wart on her foot from sharing the same shower with 14 other clients in the group home, and then I got a wart from her from showering with her, and then I ended up having to get it frozen off. Also, I was aware that she was cheating on me and sleeping around all over the place behind my back, but I only stayed with her for as long as I did for two reasons. One, for the sake of convenient sex, and two, I was that desperate not to end up alone. I admit I'm not perfect, and there are times I could have and should have used better judgment. Since I was fully aware that Samantha was sleeping around behind my back, since I was still planning to stay with her, and since her mom is her primary guardian, I asked her mom multiple times to at least get her daughter tested if I were going to continue to sleep with her. Her mom was very hostile and uncooperative about getting her daughter a blood test. Now, I may be just speculating here, but I think her mom fully well knew Samantha has herpes or something else similar, or has something similar. But she purposely didn't get her daughter tested because I think Samantha's mom actually hates men because her ex-husband, as in Samantha's dad, left her and got remarried to another woman and had a new family with his new wife. And because of this, I think Samantha's mom, because of this, hates men and has some kind of personal vendetta against men. And because of this, she enjoys watching men suffer at the hands of her daughter, which I think is why she refused to get her unfaithful daughter tested for diseases. To be honest, Samantha's mom is kind of a bully, and given that Samantha was verbally abusive to me, to the extent that it gave me high blood pressure, it looks like the apple didn't fall far from the tree.